yeah, it's been nice. It's a really nice town.
Is your first time here?
Yeah, never seen it before. I've only ever been to Atlanta in Georgia. But yeah, it's been really nice.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on your Maverick Award.
Thanks.
And for Good Time. I'll be watching it at 3 o'clock.
Nice.
You have had a busy year. This is one of 3 films you have coming out this year, and you've got...
Yes.
It's like, been a busy year for you. How do you choose your projects?
I mean, mainly directors, but in fact, it's almost entirely just directors now. I just kind of, I'll identify someone who I just want to work with, and it takes forever to work with them. Actually, to be honest, Good Time was one of the quickest. I met Josh and Benny, and in the meeting I knew I wanted to work with them before I had even met them, and when I met them and got on really well and said, like, whatever you want to do, I'm in. And they ended up writing the script, and the first version of the script in 6 weeks, and then it was basically ready to go in a few months. I think 6 months later we were already shooting, which fast. Never happens. Like, everything, Lost City of Z took like 6 years or something to do something with James Gray, and yeah, it's all just kind of random, but just directors I like mainly.
And what was it like working with Safdie? Is that how you pronounce those names?
Safdies, yeah. Safdie, yes.
Yes.
I'm terrible now.
What was it like working with them? They have a very specific style of filmmaking.
Yeah, they're great. I mean, they have like very, very, very high energy, and they've got very kind of extremely specific taste. But they're really fun, and just kind of... It really helps with Josh and Ronnie Bronstein, who wrote it. They're very, very good writers, and they write very fast, which is great. So if you have a problem with a scene, and like, my notes are always so kind of higgledy-piggledy and like all over the place, and just because they're very smart and they're also very good writers, they'll be able to rework a scene, and by the next day it would be exponentially better. Well, it will work a lot better for me anyway.
Are you one of those actors who takes notes on the script?
Yeah, loads and loads and loads. And I can't read my writing, so it's kind of... I can't read it at all.
How did you prepare for your role as Connie? You've played similar characters like him in the past.
Not really. Like, I don't think... I don't think I've really played something... I very rarely play contemporary parts, which I'm really trying to find more. I've always been in kind of either period stuff or fantasy things and stuff like that. But with Connie, it's very, very contemporary, and it's like to me a very recognizable character trope if you like hang around in those kind of worlds. And I guess I sort of prepared for it by I would literally go around Queens and sort of see people who looked how I imagined Connie to look, and just talk to people. And I spent a lot of time visiting jails and stuff in New York, and talking to people who are on parole, who went to jail for similar crimes that Connie did, which was, it was pretty fascinating.
Nice. And besides acting, I know you also write music, and you have a modeling career as well. Are you looking to direct or write in the future?
Yeah, I'd love to. I mean, I think I'm realizing as I get older, it's such writing and directing, to me, it's just a completely different area of your brain. And I can't really figure out the two. I mean, I think I've got more comfortable with acting the more you give up the control of the sort of writing aspect, and you're not even really thinking about how someone's directing a scene. I think it's much easier to let yourself go into a character if you're just not thinking about anyone else's job at all. But yeah, I think at some point I'd love to. I've never really found the right story. Because
you wrote some music for Damsel, correct?
No, I didn't actually write anything. I just played it's like a silly song, and but it was part of the script from the beginning.
And you play guitar?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. singing cowboy. It's kind of
with the accent and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like how. Do you know how in the sort of 50s westerns and stuff, when there's always like a moment where suddenly they're just singing a song? That it's kind of that kind of deal. Mm-hmm.
And so far, I know you had a master class earlier today at SCAD.
Mm-hmm.
And what is advice that you have for aspiring actors, people who want to be where you are right now?
I don't know. I'm like terrible at giving. I mean, kind of. I think it takes a really long time, and also, yeah, and I don't know. I mean, it's just. I think really just figure out ways to enjoy it rather than think like, is this going to be my life? I need this to be my life. Like, it's if you're just thinking. It's fun. It's like a fun job, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, because I meet so many different actors, and so many of them have totally different attitudes towards the business. Some people think it's just all a big laugh. Some people are like dying over it. You never know. But it is. I think it's a really good life, though. It's something to kind of. It's something worth aspiring to be, I think. It's not just a waste of time.
You mentioned directors draw you into projects. Are there any directors you'd like to work with?
I'm kind of... The ones I want to work with, I just end up working with them. Like, it's kind of... I just did a movie with Claire Denis, who I've wanted to work with for years and years and years. Ciro Guerra, who's a Colombian director, I think it's really great. I'm going to work with next year. I'm trying to think. There's tons of people every year. That's just. I like working with people I love finding someone who people don't really know how amazing they are yet, and you find them like just before they start peaking. Like with the Safdies, I mean, just seeing like their next movies being produced by Scorsese and Scott Rudin and all this stuff, and I was like, that was first.
Trendsetter.
Yeah, that's nice.
You've had your career is just packed with different roles and different performances. And what is your favorite part about your craft? It's a loaded question.
I think. I don't know. I mean, because I sort of fell into it. I always have that sense of being an imposter. I mean, so many people say this, like being an imposter and not really knowing what you're doing. And I love that feeling of just absolute terror before a job, and like it happens every single job where you have absolutely no idea what you're doing. And I think I specifically choose roles that I have nothing to rely on from other obviously there's little bits and pieces you learn which help every single job, but I'd like to pick parts which I would think I could never do, and then try and figure out a way to do it. The pressure really works for me.
What do you hope audiences take away from Good Time and your performance?
I don't know. I mean, I think the morality of the movie, I think, is really interesting, and I think you don't normally see it in a genre. Well, I mean, you used to see it in genre movies, but I mean, the amount of scripts I read, which you know exactly how you're supposed to feel about these characters. Where in Good Time, it's this kind of grey area where Connie is essentially, in a lot of ways, like kind of a bad guy. Like if you want to define someone, and yet there's something which is kind of inexplicable where you sort of end up rooting for him and you don't really know why. I don't know. I think it's in the same way that it's interesting to play those characters, to try and empathize with someone who is not traditionally empathetic. I think if you can empathize with them as an audience, it hopefully adds to your growth as a human being. I don't know. Hopefully. Learn to like really bad people.
Duly noted.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.